Okay, that's better. And what were you mostly focusing on this game, just in regards to growing and improving?
Facing like this game specifically,
Mm-hmm.
like Mage Top is literally like all about wave control.
Yep. And spacing, yeah.
Yeah, like I was really happy with my wave control this game, and it's you're just gonna like watch him essentially just watch minions die for the entire
Mm-hmm.
lane.
As he should be.
It's like I don't opt for trades or autos here because I want to make sure the wave's always pushing into me.
Yeah, this is something that is very abusive slash like stage 5 essentially.
Like he does this quite a few times, and I have to flash like after the third time or something.
I think this is like one of those cases where um in a lane like this, phase rush is considerably better as well than it would normally be, just because
Yeah,
it's actually valuable. And yeah, that's a kill for him if he actually recognizes. Although he plays it very poorly, he should play it very differently. He's
yeah,
kind
I
of
had
like
flash
cheesing
this
it.
year.
Yeah, he's kind of knowledge cheesing it, but you can play fundamentally strong in a very similar way on Jax like this, which I don't know
Hmm.
why, but he's not doing.
I guess, yeah, phase rush is better like for self peel
Yeah,
against like I feel like against certain matchups it's like
yeah,
probably close to mandatory.
yep. I would say it's probably close to mandatory in this matchup. Where if you have phase rush here, it's really, really easy. Yeah, and I don't like the fact that you give him a crash here. If I was Jax here, I'd go for a base. Oh, actually, it's not a crash. Okay, then it's kind of fine. Here, if I was Jax, I would like basically suicide on the wave and look to still get a crash on, crash off. Because if you get that crash as a Jax, then the lane gets quite easy. Because you get your 3 pot stacks back. Yeah, this is like definitely a point where you should like suicide on the wave if you're Jax. And here it's already like, although this breaks, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
It should, I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe if he just like attacks minions, then oh, okay. You know, it's a little bit late to decide to suicide on the wave. Oh man, God, this is horrible to watch. This poor Jax. Yeah, as expected, the freeze breaks.
But like the way I can do
Oh,
it is
yeah, go ahead.
the way I can like manip the wave is that I can like if it ever breaks, it like slow pushes back, but like
Yeah,
it starts slow pushing like on my side so that I can just one shot
yeah,
the entire wave. And you know, Oriana has 3 AoE abilities and the ability of speed up minions, so she's a big cheater
yep.
with wave manip.
Although, like, I wouldn't say it's that like that cheating.
No, but it's like really strong. I say cheating because it's like a thing that no other champ can do.
um,
That's what I mean by that.
honestly, other champs can do it better.
What champs?
Mm. Most mid mages, and there's some melees that can do it better. Stuff like Yasuo Yone.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, you don't need clear, you just need shove. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, stuff like Ryze, Syndra, previously Talia.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I could even argue Zillion at like certain levels, but I wouldn't.
Villian takes forever to kill melees though, I think.
Depends on the time of game and items he has.
Yep. This just happens for like the next 10 minutes or whatever.
Well, that's good.
For me,
Mhm. Mhm.
like I get such a crazy advantage this game.
Yep. Yep. Oh,
But I was
I would like to see some trades there, honestly. Especially because
I
they
care
were
so
poss.
much about the wave. I care so much about
Yeah.
not letting
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
crash out. But like theoretically, probably you could like break that down if you want.
I mean, it's just about like there were some holes there, right? Or even like positions where you can create holes, right? Like if you don't stand on like there's a hole here, and if you would have like I mean for like I think this queue here
Same
doesn't.
side, same side.
Well, same side
I
is
see.
obviously possible as well. But even
But like
now,
same side doesn't. But if I do same side, I don't have to worry about like minion clipping.
yes, as well. But even if you clip
I
like
see. Okay.
this minion there, then that's kind of fine.
I just leave her to die because
Yeah.
I can't afford to let this wave crash.
Maybe it shouldn't crash, but I still don't think. Um,
No, it's just like I need to like tend to the wave.
I don't think you
It's like
do, but it's kind of fine. Because I don't.
I
Oh, well, I don't like the
I
shove.
thought to myself. I thought to myself that like I can't help her. Like she's just on her own. Like for
Yeah,
like
I agree
considering the
with
lane
that.
state.
I agree with that, but yeah, I don't think you need to like shove those. Or I guess the thinning is fine. And in this case, like even though he gets something, he loses another wave for it. So yeah, even if you do go, I don't think it crashes, and he still loses the wave for it. So yeah, this is basically the way where you get. Oh, oh, okay.
That was real lucky.
Yeah,
That was real
I
lucky.
did not think that was gonna land, but he just really entered it.
Yep. That's what I did too. I'm just
What? Why is he? He's just jumping back in because he feels like it's gonna work. What? Kane, are you okay? Up your. It's God. What? Okay. Honestly, hard
yeah.
winnable this game at this point. I really think it's winnable actually.
I wanted to stand close to the tower so he's forced to take 2 shots. But
Yeah,
like
yeah,
or
yeah.
the I didn't it was like unsure if he was gonna die or not. It's just like I did what I felt was right. Easiest
Uh-huh.
simplest put. And
Yep.
wave is still freezing.
Mm-hmm.
TP worth it. Very nice gameplay. Very high counterplay.
This is like one of those things in top lane where if you get a lead, you can just run with it, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Yep.
And sometimes in top lane, you just get cases like this where it's like, yep, it's frozen. What are you gonna do about it? No, you can't do anything about it. Uh-huh.
Have fun minion staring.
Yes. Good luck
Very nice.
getting experience. Oh, that's like yeah. That's one of those
What was?
situations. I think you can barely get the auto attack if you cancel it a bit better or like click a bit better because you click back a little bit too much. Like you see this or like in general, right? Like backwards clicks aren't necessary, which is always something to be aware of to make sure that
Hmm.
I'll check the rest of the clip for like backwards clicks, but it's important that a lot of times you don't automatically click back after doing a Q because it's very common
I see.
where basically just every time you use a spell you just automatically click back and yeah. And here I move forward because he can look for a Q here, and I think if you move forward you can go for a trade on him there. So even though standing back is fine, I would go for a definite Q there.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is like I messed up. The
yeah.
freeze is breaking, so it's not a cannon wave, so I get to back now.
Mm-hmm. Wait, we still shove this out, right? Yeah.
Yep.
It's like one of those cases where.
I should like probably lead the minions
Oh
in,
yeah,
but
you need to like um ex what's the word? escort them. That's it. Escort.
Yes.
Yes. You need to escort them into his tower.
So I got lucky there
Yeah,
that
he
he didn't
didn't
have
feel like
the
freezing.
cognizance.
Yeah. Just he's been staring at minions for ages, and now he's finally been able to get some. So you know, he's gonna definitely try.
And he's pushing it back. There's like one engagement towards the end where it's like, I mentally broke him. Like I quite clearly mentally broke him, and it was just so funny.
I don't like that Q there.
I don't either. Yeah. Probably like emotional, I think.
Possible.
Like the way I see it is uh like the more emotionally excited I get, the smaller these like thresholds of me pressing buttons. So like for like itchy trigger fingers, like a
Yeah.
conceptually,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually like the correct term to use.
Another thing you can look into is throwing the ball to the side of the wave, because then the angle towards, like, for example, what you could do in this situation might not be as useful, but putting the ball here, because then if he walks up and looks for me in, you can go from this angle,
Oh,
right? And
shit.
it doesn't.
Wait, that's insane. I've never
Does
thought
that
about
make sense?
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually genius. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
So that's like type of stuff where, as long as you're doing it like very intentionally, that's kind of fine. Cause like, because like as like if as Jax, I would 100% go for this minion, right? Because I might get a Q for it, but at least it's gonna be a Q that also hits the minions. But if you put it to the side, then that doesn't even doesn't even exist. Yeah, the Jax is very like he handshakes a lot with you here. Which, to be fair, like, it can be argued that it's correct. It'd be slightly abusive to attempt to play differently.
What do you mean by that?
It's like if I was like, it would not be correct following the stages. Like following the stages, this Jax is playing um semi-correct, right? Where he's respecting a lot, and this is definitely the moment where it's like, oh, you need to try, you need to try. It's like, well, yeah, but I'm just gonna get poked down. But essentially, if you're Jax in a situation like this, you can't really win anymore by playing conventionally, where you go for CS and then you look for trades. It just doesn't work anymore because you messed up too much, right? So if conventional gameplay doesn't work anymore, there's got to be a different solution, right? Like you can't just it's like if an engine says you lose, at that point it's just over. It's like mate in like 20. I don't know, right?
Yeah, but it's like a very volatile position.
Yeah, exactly. So at that point you do moves that aren't necessarily good, but
Yeah, yeah,
might create
increase the
something.
variance.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
the correct term. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's essentially what you should do as Jax here is, because if you're following the correct lines traditionally, then you're not gonna get anywhere. So you have to look for an abusive line that doesn't um, withhold itself within the rules of the game, essentially,
The
right?
easiest way to describe like explain it is like how a computer would say see like 0.0 is better than 0.5 if you're or like 0. Uh, 0.5 positive if you're like black, where it's like closer, it's like better for you technically, but there's like a lot less variance because you're trading like three pieces and a queen. And it's like, oh, it's
Mm-hmm,
better
mm-hmm.
for you. You should do it. But it's like, like no player is gonna play that way
Yeah,
because you still want to win. You don't want to draw.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's like that here, where as Jackson, you should have kind of done this earlier. You can't win by playing traditionally, so you have to play abusively in some manner. Basically, playing in a way that um, basically ignores some of the strengths of Oriana, or expects you to not be good enough of a player to be able to punish it, things like that. Right? Example of that would be um, basically like moving in. Like if this Jax, he should be like moving in, trying to bait out your skill shots, basically trying. he should be trying to make you play in a non-correct manner, right?
You force like you're increasing variance.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
That like that's how I like to describe it because it's very like accurate and concise.
I mean,
Like
it's
forcibly,
yeah, it's not
like you're
necessarily
stepping up.
increasing
Huh?
variance, but I mean, I
What do you mean by
guess
that?
so. Essentially, he's gonna. So, for example, if he plays all the way back here, you're just gonna focus on CS, right?
Yeah. So there's like it's a very low. There's very low variance here.
Um, I guess
Like
you can see it like that, but essentially, you don't have to like just because he's gonna play. Like, let's say he stands here, you would say there's more variance in a position like this,
yes,
but you don't have to accept this more variance pattern of his gameplay. You can just
yes,
keep playing correct.
yeah.
So that's why I personally don't like the term more variance because more
Like oh,
variance
increase
implies
counterplay. Try
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like you're attempting to increase variance like
Yes,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
have some counterplay. That's what I
Yes.
mean. Like
Okay, okay, okay,
obviously,
okay. Yeah.
if I'm like a perfect player and you try to play like a high variance, I know how to like navigate the variance and reduce
Yeah.
counterplay so it doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
work. But like I have more opportunities to slip up essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Or like there are more skill checks
Like
basically.
increasing counterplay. Or
Yes.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
But yeah, like essentially like here in this position he's never going to get damaged and he always gets
No counter
experience.
no
But
counterplay for him.
yeah,
Like
exactly. But if
he
if
has
he
no
stands
opportunities.
here and you're a bad player, you might just throw a Q at him. If he dodges it, you can get a quick CS, right? Basically, whenever like he can stand in positions, this is something we talked about before, right? Like don't fall for enemies who bait you with their movement, because we're just gonna play correct, right? We're just gonna follow the rules. We're gonna play um, a very valid way of League, right?
Low variance
Exactly,
gameplay.
exactly. And if they try to basically bait you into this chaotic style of play where it's all about who has the slightly better, you know, mechanics, I guess you could say, right? That's the moment where they have a higher chance of winning again because you're being drawn into this battle of just one on one while you forget like the super valid things where he will need to get CS, right? So if I was him, I would like move into a position which increases variance, and then bait you into trying to punish my movement, bait you into um, not waiting for the correct moment, bait you into messing up the wave here, right? So you really need to like be careful with opponents that do stuff like that because you'll see them, right? Don't fall for them trying to bait you into bad stuff. If this Jax is standing here, it's just like slightly wiggling into your range, and you think like, oh, this looks like a free Q. Just wait, just wait. There's no pressure. There's no pressure, right? Just wait until he actually goes for it. Or if he like gets really close, hit him with an auto attack and not a Q, right? Like stuff like that, where it's that's like one of the worst things if you're this Jax and you're moving in. What you're trying to do is dodge the Q and then get the CS. But if you just auto attack him and he keeps trying to dodge and auto attack him again, then he's just lost a lot of HP and needs to walk back still for nothing, right? So this is like one of those things where you will get opponents that play very abusively, and you need to be careful for that. Um, which is what I meant with like the Jax is kind of handshaking this situation where he's playing in a um, correct manner, but he's not trying to get the most out of this position. It's more one of
Thanks for
those things
explaining
where,
that.
yeah, it's one of those things where you just need to be aware of it. Something you might even see in 1v1s versus like Cat, for example, where he'll play in like a very abusive manner, right? Where he'll just like randomly just perma shove and he'll be like, "Yep, I'm in a good position now," and it's like, well, you're in a good position if you view it from like an abusive lens, but
Yeah, the way I like to see it is like playing behind is like an art. Like
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
like if like I always play out my chess games because there's like it's actually an art knowing how to play behind and like increase
yep,
variance instead of being like, oh fuck, I lost your bishop. Okay, game over. It's
yep,
like
yeah, yeah. It's not useful as well to just like quit the games immediately. Here I would go for a quick ward. Just make sure that you're not gonna get.
I saw Kane was bought, so I was
Oh,
like, I
okay. If
can
you
do
if
this.
you like actively saw it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And this is obviously lethal if he goes for one more CS.
If I didn't know,
Oh, he's not bought.
well, he came top really fast.
Oh, yep. I was gonna say that's a kill. Oh, that's an ugly one. You still get him though. Hell yeah. Let's look at that a bit more.
I'm just like laughing maniacally because I literally just couldn't control myself.
I can imagine. Must feel really good.
Yeah.
Oh, YouTube, are you okay? Okay. YouTube's okay. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
can you actually check if he was on the map? Because I don't want to be like defensive reasoning. Like when like around uh uh like when I make the decision to shove, not this early.
So he is on the map right now.
I think I hmm. No, I keep freezing this. I think it's like 1-2 waves too
Yeah,
many.
yeah, I'm just like
Like
this
when I
like the
make the
moment where you,
decision
like
to escort the decision I'm the time I make the decision to escort the wave
yeah, 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 I'm just like I'm
is
just
like I
showing
think a
you
wave
when the
from there.
last time was you saw him, which I think is now.
Oh, okay.
This was
Okay.
the last time you saw him, I'm pretty sure. You might see him on the ward again. Oh, you see him now?
Yeah. No, yeah, now I see him. Now I'm like, okay, I can shove this in,
Okay.
I think.
Oh, right, because he steals a dragon as well. I
Yeah,
think this
yeah.
wave is one longer.
I'm honestly doing defensive. Oh wait, this is really far back.
Yeah.
Like I just see him bot constant like yeah. Yeah, that's the time I think I saw him. Like
Yeah.
around here. I'm like, okay, I can just shove this in and escort it.
Yeah, I think I would personally just drop down a ward because um like you don't lose time with it, right? Or you don't lose trades with it. And this like I think this is an easy mistrade, right? Like here,
Oh yeah.
like that
Yeah,
one
you're
for
right.
example, right?
I'm just super low. He can't even afford to jump on me, actually.
Oh yeah, that too.
Like
And I don't like that auto attack at all. I don't think it does anything. The Q there wasn't entirely clean because you clicked forward with it. It was slightly out of your range. But the play was obviously good. Let's actually look at the other thing we talked about. Okay, that one was fine. See if it's like cancelled, right? It is. Wow, good.
what was canceled?
So this is something I haven't explicitly talked about, but it's something you've been doing, not necessarily without knowing, but maybe without actively knowing. Um, the part of the reason why clicking much and why clicking close to your character is so important is because it just gives you more control. Another reason is because everything in League is cancelable. Like any animation is cancelable, basically, right? Like it's the same with
Yeah.
auto attack canceling and stuff like that. Um, it's often seen as like something that's possible in some cases, right? Where you can cancel Riven animations and this and that. That it's actually possible with everything in the game, right? Like everything has like a tiny animation that you can immediately cancel after movement input, which is
Yeah.
you know like past that. It's not like League is also one of those games like StarCraft where the AI is not optimal, and the more you click, the more your character moves exactly how you want it to move, where StarCraft 1 is a more extreme example. I'll, I'll show you something real quick because this you gotta see how bad the StarCraft AI is.
My time isn't sensitive today, so like I don't mind. Like just to like clarify, like you can take as long as
Right.
you like. It's contingent on your time, not mine. I'll put it
Okay,
that way.
that's Or pathing, I guess. I think this one might be bad. I guess like the worst ones are the dragoons. Dragoons are so bad.
I know literally nothing about StarCraft, by the way. Just letting you know
Okay.
now. I just know that's like very micro intensive and stuff.
Yeah, it's a really old game. It's absolutely amazing. It's the most difficult and challenging game just in the world. It's or like even better, it's the most challenging and difficult 1v1 activity that can be done, in my opinion. I cannot think of anything that is remotely as challenging. Even chess pills like pills in comparison, in my opinion. Right, like I think the only thing that can remotely come close is specifically Quake at like the highest level, and I would personally say that this is way more difficult than that even. But yeah, like this game is very
A
old.
good thing I haven't been exposed yet. That sounds very addictive.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep it that way.
Yep.
But it'll be fun to watch. I'm not gonna like
Yeah,
try it or
so
anything.
essentially, the pathing in this game is terrible, and this video will show you how bad it is. Where if you click, like this is one movement command, and as you can see, this guy right here, this is one movement command, and it's just like, yep, this guy just, oh, look, there he goes, oh, oh, they don't know what to do. It is,
No, one movement command.
that was one movement command, yeah, and yep, it's real bad.
What the fuck?
It's so like look that it's really really bad. It's absolutely hilarious how bad.
I didn't know it was possible to be. I didn't even know it was possible to for pathing to be that terrible.
Oh, it's real bad. And like dragoons are
Holy shit, man.
like dragoons are basically known for having the worst AI just in the history of anything really. Where it is so bad in so many ways. Where because of how the Dragoon animation moves, they kind of expand and they kind of expand, and if they expand, they kind of push other Dragoons out of them, so they move backwards. And it's just the weirdest thing, just anytime. But basically, is this like one of those cases where they just input one movement command and it's just, yep, it doesn't work.
Holy shit.
But this is basically one movement
Pathing.
command, and it's as you might notice, it's not very efficient. And getting everything down, you can see how units just like try to
God,
run into each other and everything. It's just
so bad you have to micromanage them.
oh, like that's like the thing with Brood War is if you move them once, they will go all the way back and everything. It is so bad, absolutely terrible. However, the more you click, the more responsive the units you get, which is why APM in StarCraft is so important because the more inputs you have, the more like the better everything
Oh.
moves. Which is also why in the beginning of the game like basically like 5 seconds into the game, nothing's happened, but pros have already made like a million inefficiencies because they don't have infinity APM. Because the workers could have been moving slightly more efficient, and if you spam on certain things, then they work slightly more efficient and stuff like that.
I see.
Where
That's
yeah,
why LS is so obsessive with APM
absolutely,
because it
absolutely,
doesn't actually work that way in League. And
it
I see
does.
like really
That's like the
like to an
thing.
extent.
Yes.
It does to an extent, but it's like it's quality some point it's like quality over quantity. It's kind of.
Yes. No, absolutely. Which is so. This is one of those things, right, where you're 100% right. It is always quality over quantity, and it's not even close as well.
Like I'd like for me, I'd prefer to like meditate before the game starts, like before the lanes crash, then like spam click to increase that APM
Yes.
stat. But it's like,
Yeah.
oh yes, I've been APM, but it's like, okay, what does that even do for you?
Yes, exactly, right. And you're 100% right that quality is more important than quantity, and he would agree with that as well. Like guaranteed. His argument is essentially you need a certain benchmark, and after that, it's not too important. which in StarCraft is just
Like
blatantly not true because the more inputs you have, the better everything works in everything. In StarCraft, it's not literally bigger number equals better. That's not right, but you can vaguely see bigger number equals better.
a much stronger correlation. And I
Yeah.
can see he's obsessive because when he played TFT, he like spam clicked his characters. Like you don't need to do that.
Yeah,
It's literally
it's
useless.
literally habit from StarCraft 1.
Yeah. It's just like,
Yeah.
but I could see that like from that observation that it's an obsessive observation. Like it's an obsession for him, like APM. But it's
Well,
like,
yeah, it's just it's
yeah,
literally
but no,
like
no, it's
yeah.
reasonable. It's
Yeah,
reasonable, but
like
like it is an obsession
it's the
because like
same with
he,
the constant tab and escape,
yeah,
where escape for so StarCraft 1 originally would not allow you to change your key bindings because that was not tech that was available readily and easily at the time, nor was it something that people were really looking for. However, that yeah, it created some awkward things where I think it's Siege Tank is T, then Vulture is V, for Protoss Probe is P, then Zealot is Z, and you're very commonly clicking on all your nexuses, clicking P, then clicking on your production facilities, which need Z, D, T, and H for production, and Terran I think is M. I think it's like M, J, and and like V and T as well, and it's so bad. It's and then S for SCV. It's absolutely horrific. It's terrible to the point where your hand just goes all over the keyboard over and over again to produce stuff. And there were specific methods of moving your hand over the keyboard to get it back into positions where it should be. Because you also need to be able to do attack move with A, patrol with P, and hold position with either S or no with H. It's H. So basically,
so terrible.
oh,
Yeah,
it's absolutely horrible. It's terrible.
it's so bad. It's more like playing piano than playing StarCraft.
Yes, yeah. But like this is like StarCraft is essentially a game that's filled with so many awkward and difficult things that you just can't be good at once. So everybody sucks, basically. That's like the game is um it's impossible to do everything perfectly. So you kind of choose the things where you put your attention and focus into, and the way how you spread your attention and the way how you choose to not make mistakes in certain things but mistakes in other things essentially make you a different type of player. Which is like why StarCraft 1 is like the single game where which like allows the most personality to be shown out of like a lot of things as well. Because
It's a victim of its own complexity.
yeah, it's basically so impossible to play correctly that you have to choose what you don't do. And it's why you'll see pros just have like 4 or 5 workers just not working because workers don't work automatically in this game. You have to put them to work. And it's objectively terrible to not have them working. It's so bad. You're literally wasting money and wasting time. But it happens for the pro level because there's so many things you have to do at once, you can't do it all at once. So even with the keyboard stuff, it's like an art to be able to control your keyboard well to make sure that your hand is always in the right position, which is why there were certain techniques you would use with your hand to make sure that it was like reset in the right position again. And his escape is part of a hand reset technique that he had to do over and over and over again in Brood War to basically make sure his hand is in the right position again. So right now in League, when he plays it, you see him press escape over and over again, or it was way worse before because it was just a hand reset habit that he basically trained himself into. And it's the same with APM. He like trained himself to be able like to constantly do it a certain way to a point where he can't stop. It's like an you could say it's obsessive, but at the same time, it's just like a habit. And in League, it's the same in a way, right? It's not literally more clicks equals better, but obviously if someone is clicking I don't know like 100 times a minute versus 200 times a minute and all of the quick clicks are of a similar quality, yes they have diminishing returns, but there will still be a slight improvement in everything because you can cancel stuff in League, right? Just like you
I
can
say
cancel your
I say
animation. Yeah.
obsessive. I say obsessive in the sense that like it's like he can't control it and he's like not cognizant of it.
He is
Or
cognizant
like
of it.
or
Oh, like in that
uh,
yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's like something he is conscious of, but yeah, maybe not in the moment, like cognizant of it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I meant, yeah.
yeah. Then I can agree. But yes, that's literally why. Brood War is an amazing game because of how bad it is. It's like Melee in a way where, um, yeah, like the unit pathing is so bad that like there are even times where you will set up units in a specific arc because the pathing is so bad, and if you set them up in this arc and basically, so like for example, something that was common, if you would like have a big army that you would want to hit, like let's say you want to hit this all at once, you can only select 16 units at once and your army is 50 big, which means you need at least 4 inputs, like, or like 4 times 2 inputs, right? But if you just have one big ball that you're trying to put here, then you'll have group 1 all the way here, group 2 here, group 3 here, and group 4 here, right? So it's going to come in waves, and group 1 might get killed, and then group 2 arrives. So at that point, right, like then group 2 just gets killed, and your entire army goes down a meat grinder. So they find out, well, this doesn't work. I need to do something different. So instead of doing that, they had it ready like this, where it's like a row like here. Basically, they had it set up like this, where they move this forward first, then this, then this, then this, so that it would all arrive around the same time. Right? Like these are all the things that are super relevant in this game. It's basically setting up
That's a
everything
shame.
beforehand.
It's a shame that you can't select them all at once because like obviously the ideal would just be like a giant circle of them enclosing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like because you can't select all of them at once, you need to do tactics and tricks and find ways to get around it, and anyway, basically, which is more
Hilarious.
why like that game has so much depth.
But God, it's like the weirdest kind of depth ever, like compromising depth
Yep.
or something.
Yep. It's also why like remastered came around, and there were some people, including myself, because I knew nothing about StarCraft. I said, well, it would be great if they like remove the selection cap because then it'd be way more accessible, and it really sucks not being able to select your entire army. And then I think I watched Day9's video on it, and he was like, "Yep, I hope they change nothing because if they do, the entire game is not balanced anymore. It's basically finished at that point. Nobody would play it." And the more I know about StarCraft now, it's really true. If you would change anything about the game, like literally anything, it would be ruined, essentially. Like the entire balance of the game just would not exist anymore.
There's like a how do I say it? Like a concept in machine learning that's very applicable here called overfitting, which will take like a while to explain, but if you like know what that is, it's essentially that where like the algorithm tries too hard to like fit the anomalies.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's literally what happens
Mm-hmm.
because like too complex, but like complex like destructively complex basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I was talking about. He's mentally broken.
But honestly, you shouldn't lose this game. I'll like watch 2 times speed, but the lane was honestly just like you can gain more minor advantages by playing more offensive, but obviously this just like really solid all stages. I think there's some like yeah, there's some like slight stage 4 improvements that can happen, of course, but
There was like two people. It was like very strange. This game was like honestly really special. Like we literally lost because I tried to ult the Jax, but the Jace knocked him out of my ult, so we lost.
what?
Because he tried to backdoor. Like if you go at the end, but like There's just like it's just so many happy accidents. It's just I had a blast. Like I don't even give a fuck if I lost. This game was this teleport's fucking terrible, by the way.
Oh my
I
god.
literally
Yeah,
into
okay. You can lose it
yup
this way. Holy shit.
yup.
That was
But
terrible.
outside the scope of my improvement is what I call it. So that's okay.
I mean, we could call that a limit test.
Yep. Call it a limit test. Like
Yeah.
I don't think about it. It's just like I need to TP. Oh, award. Oh, wait a sec. They're not engaging. I thought the people bot lane would be like how do I put it? Engaged, focused. No, committed. That's the word. They're
Mhm.
committed, but they weren't committed. So like, oh, this doesn't work. Rip.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely a way to throw the game.
It's just like what does our cop even do, man? Like
Uh,
when everyone's like at 3 items, like what does our comp do? We have Jay Ziggs with no CC or front line. We've like Evelyn with
oh
no
my
front line. They have
god.
like a Fed. They have a Fed Shadow Ross, and yeah, close your eyes. Uh, I did mess up. I don't remember
Yeah.
my next death. I died 4 times, I think. I don't remember like the fourth one though. But I did have that rule where I was like very cognizant of my
Mhm.
deaths,
Mhm.
like the death limit, which is really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Where it's like a gradient, where it's like
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
it's like okay, gotta be careful now.
How
And
many
at
stacks do
5,
you have still? I guess if you can get Neatly's large rod, it's better. But I was thinking, Magi's here if you have like 5 or more stacks, but I can't see how many you have. I think it says 7, but it might be 2 or 3.
I don't know. That's like really high variance. It's like if I die once, it's just like that goes down the drain.
Yeah,
Where it's
just
like
don't.
I need I really want my
Are you
Rabadons.
gonna die? Like,
I don't know, man. It's a Shadow Ross.
well,
It's pretty
it's
spooky.
like
Or a
basically the way I would
Shadow
see it
King. It's
is
pretty.
like they have no way to force you to die, so it's like one of those cases where you could argue, well, if you think the comp sucks that much, then you should do something that's variance, right? Because if no variance happens, then you automatically don't win.
Sure. It's like I'm like hesitant to upgrade my seal because it's just so strong. Like you get 65 AP for
Yeah,
350 gold. Like who on Riot actually thought that was a good idea? I don't know,
I
man.
mean, people still say it's shit, so
I don't know. I guess math's too hard for them.
yep, yep,
And it's like it's nice because if I die, I only lose 20 AP, whereas like, I lose how much? Like if I get Magi. So it's like I just like I tend to like it's like also it's like there's also some instances where it's like if I die we lose, so I might as well upgrade it.
yeah, yeah,
Like we instantly lose if I die, like certain comps. So
yep,
it's like where it's like I have to take the extra variance in order to win anyway. So but generally speaking, I don't like upgrading seal.
yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's just like
If
one
it
of those
if it's
cases where
like
if it's already at super high stacks, upgrading it is actually worth it.
I like upgrading at 10 because I just get like plus 35 move
Yeah,
speed, which
exactly.
is real nice.
Yeah.
That's like when I like upgrading. I almost never upgrade it when it's not 10. But I could see how it's like good in some cases, but
Also, man, you really need that tier mana this game, isn't it crazy?
yeah, dude, you're right.
So it's so hilarious to
We-
see people try to talk about it. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you really,
that
you,
argument was just really fun to watch. I'm not taking sides 'cause I just want to see the show, and this
yeah, I
was
know. But I'm just like, yup, you really needed that 400 mana here. If only you've got
dude,
four.
I literally
Yep,
like watch tell like if he watches my top games, I go fucking Zonia's first. You don't need mana on this champion. All your
yep,
damage is with Q.
yep.
You literally don't need like any argument for mana is defensive reasoning. It's like you don't need the mana. It's like
Well,
actually ridiculous.
well, but actually, you need to both perma shove your lane because prio, and you need to be able to then roam as Oriana because that's what your champion is supposed to do. And
Yeah,
then
but
you also need to basically RNG trade off cooldown with your opponent.
but you don't need W to shove the waves. I know it's absolutely crazy, but you don't need W to shove the waves when you have like 2 items.
Really?
You just QEQ. You
Really?
need
Wow.
QEQ and that's 150 mana. Oh wait, you're talking about the game.
No. I'm just, I'm just like, wow,
Oh, the
really
choke. Yeah,
crazy.
okay. Yeah.
I think it
Okay.
also helps that the Jace is DCing over and over again.
Yeah, this game was real special.
Like, I think if the Jace actually never DCing, then it's actually pretty winnable. Actually, I think going Magi's here is probably best.
I
Or
actually wanted to go Horizon Focus.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, it makes some sense, but I'm not sure if I like it.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I never like it never occurred to me to like if I wanted to do Magi's or not. Like the thought didn't enter
Yeah.
my head. I'm just gonna be honest.
Well,
So
it
it's
it
just
doesn't
like
really matter.
let, let's just try this item because this isn't like it's not like actually the worst item because you just get a shit ton of AP and
Yeah.
like for Alt W, like if you're outside your Q range, it's just a lot more extra damage. So it's
I
like
think
not
it's
the
like one
worst,
of
but
those
it's like
cases where Void will just outdamage it still, even if the
I looked at their HPs. It's like no MR, no MR, no MR.
yeah, no,
Range, and
but
then
it's
Ross. It's
I
like
think they got Mountain Drake once, and it's just base levels at this point,
yeah.
right?
Base
Because
base
yeah,
levels for melee is you
yeah,
want MR, but base levels for range you don't. That's like
yeah,
the
but
thing
like
most people
they've
don't
got
consider.
like four or like three melees. Like
Yeah,
Jax right
you're
there has
right.
like 90 MR, right?
Yeah, you're right. Void would have been better.
And that's even without his ulti.
Like the way I see like Cosmic Drive and Horizon Focus is just like luxury items. Like the reason
Yep,
people would go like
absolutely.
Ludens when they're ahead before. Just
Yep.
like I have so much gold, nothing to do.
Oh,
Fun
also,
items.
something to take into account, by the way, with Magi's is that it gives you magic penetration.
Ah, six. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
which is
that's
actually really
actually yeah.
valuable. Yeah,
Like even at
it's
0 stacks, it gives you plus 6. Yeah, you're
yeah.
right.
Which is why it's more valuable than you'd think. You could
You're right.
technically
Yeah.
go Morello, but I don't think it's necessary at all.
Arello's bad, dude.
I know.
Still bad. Really, just go. You go the 800 goal item, and you just pretend the item doesn't exist, and then it's like, all right, I have to spend my gold now. I'm just gonna buy it. You know.
Basically.
And
I
then
mean, it
when
gives you
you're
it gives
when
you
you're
six magic pen.
yeah, but you know other items give you 6 magic pen too. And when other when your AD is aware enough to buy executioners, you can just sell it. You can just buy something else.
Think honestly,
And that
the tank one is the best one, like Thornhill, but you can't actively apply it. Oh, that Q
wow,
is
he's
awkward.
actually watching the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
First
I'm
time.
just like I'm really curious as to how this is like a
That's
loss.
good. That's good.
I'll watch like
Interested in the
I'll
gameplay
go
now.
watch the others as well, but man. Because this seems to me like the easiest win in the history, basically. Like this is literally like you said. This is a moment where if Oriana doesn't die, you just win the game, like straight up. There's no challenge about it.
It's just that our comp was just like no CC, no front line. It's just like so awkward to play. Whereas if we had like 1 or 2 CC champions or like 2 frontliners, this would be like super free. But it's
Yep.
like we have a behind Ziggs, we have a DCing, we have like an Evelyn that just gets one shot that can't like play. They can't play her champion because no one can draw focus. We have like 2 damaging champions that are behind with no CC and no like hyperscaling. So it's like okay.
Mm,
And then we have Soraka's who's like buffing who exactly?
yeah.
People that are insta dying. Like okay, like like that's what I meant by like comp diff. Like it just gets that late where it's like it doesn't even matter who's ahead or who's not.
I mean, but like enemy comp is like bad enough where you can legit solo carry.
Yeah, but I throw my ults. so
Yeah.
many times this game. Because
I
like
mean,
I
but like
wasn't
if an ult like that
focused,
was fine, like the one you just had where you just get a free kill.
but
And
it's
like
like
like yeah, this is like one
I
of
need
those
to.
things like you see like you could actually one shot people as well. Oh, is this the one where? Okay,
No,
it's
no, no,
not.
no. You'll see later. It's like at the end, literally at the end of the VOD.
Okay, okay.
It's actually like hilarious. Like it's so fitting, such a fitting end. Uh, and this Kai'Sa just like literally just ints every
Oh,
time. I mistimed, or actually he
yeah.
just outplays my ult. Actually, it's not even worth ulting out of because he chooses when.
Mhm. Oh my god. This game's such a joke.
I had a blast. It was so fun. It's
I
just
can
so
imagine.
hilarious. It's just like it's just like what is going on? Like the reason I pinpoint, yeah, this is it. He knocked him out of my ult, so we lose.
I don't think it matters to be fair, but
I mean, if he ults, like he stops autoing, so he dies.
yeah. Um,
What I was talking about my ult is like, in like games where I have to play, like it's a very
this is.
critical game or like really
Mhm,
critical
mhm,
game
mhm.
states. I have to like be very intentful with the way I use my ult. Like I have
Yeah.
to ult this champion specifically.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
if Fed Kassadin, like okay, like I don't give a fuck if I ult 3 or 4 people. I need to ult the Kassadin. Like that sort of
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
enter my head this game because I wasn't
Makes sense.
focused on it.
Makes sense. I mean, it's not really something that matters, right? It's like we said, it's not the intent
Like
of our movement.
in terms of winning, it does, but it's in terms of
Yeah.
improvement, no.
As a question, did we talk about stage 4 yet? Because I can't remember if we did.
I mean, you talked about Stage 4 ages ago, so I
Well,
know
yeah,
like what you
fair.
mean by it.
Fair.
But like recently, no.
Okay, okay. Because I think it's like getting to a spot where you can start thinking about, like, we can start thinking about moving towards it.
Yeah,
Because,
like
yeah.
like my first death was Stage 4 contingent essentially,
Well, yeah, which is, like,
like in this game
that's not
specifically.
necessarily the reason why or reason for it. It's more like, we can keep refining, but, like, at least, unless this game is very different from the last one, it's like one of those cases where we can keep refining, but, like, further refinement doesn't necessarily gain more than learning a new skill, right? Which is like the same principle we did when like we talk about when moving from stage 1 to 2 or from 2 to 3, where you don't need literally perfect stage 1 to be able to move to stage 2 because it's not efficient. Like you get to like 80% or 90% competence, and then yeah, and it's like a moment where you recognize that you need to crash on 2, which is nice. And yeah, this is like one of those
But
moments where you do need yeah.
I took W level 3, and it's like it
Okay.
really mattered here.
Yeah. Okay, that was so this again, right? Like this is like one of those cases where I talked about earlier. The only way for him to win here is to not play correctly and to bait you into, you know, punish the quote unquote mistake he makes, opposed to just waiting for the correct moment. It's essentially he's
Yeah,
doing like tactics or gambits where it looks like you can punish a specific piece, and uh, if you if you pounce on that, then um, if you don't do that very precisely, then he gets like a
you
slight tactical edge. Yeah.
like he can translate the positional
Yes.
advantage
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
essentially. Like
Yeah.
he snowballed the positional advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Which like I always see like grandmasters or like high level people never accepting like Smith Mora, but
Mhm.
I always accept it because I like a challenge.
But yeah, that's like essentially what the Fizz is doing. He's putting himself into positions that look like mistakes so that you throw out your abilities. But if you just wait patiently, then you just win. You know, it's like this literally what happens here. Where like previously we called this just RNG trading, and it's on you. And in a way it is, right? Like why are you throwing out this random ability? It doesn't make sense. But at the same time, like at a certain level, we can also accept, wait a second, our opponent is actually moving in ways, which is the difference between this Fizz and the previous Jacks, which bait us into RNG trading and because like the way he moves around looks like he's making a mistake that we can just punish with a Q, right? And because of that, we just throw out the Q because it looks like he's making a mistake, which he kind of is, but this like a 50-50 or like a it's a mistake where 80% of the time you hit him and 20% of the time you don't, where later on, right, like if he goes for the CS, it's 100%, right? So he's increasing variance, like you said, by moving in this pattern and moving in this way, trying to bait you into punishing his mistake, which it is a mistake, but if you wait longer for him to like actually go for CS, then you can more consistently punish him. That was a really good auto attack. Very nice Q.
I didn't see the auto attack.
Right. So, but like if we look a bit further back before anything, stuff like that Q, for example, I don't think is good at all.
Who reacted to it?
Well, but like even then, like what's the reason for it?
Could you repeat it? Sorry.
So like
The clip of me doing it.
yeah,
No,
I'm
the
trying
clip
to
of me
find it.
doing it was basically.
I'm trying to find
Wait.
no,
Uh.
this
Oh,
is too far forward.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Like
That
there's
one.
no
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That was
right? Like
okay.
like this is literally just like attempting to punish movement, or this is like a command you already inputted and it's you didn't cancel it. But that was like that's a punish on position and not on like CS, right? And that's a really good punish again. And that's basically the theme, right? Like if you just punish him when he goes for CS, like he just looks funny, right? Like it's just like what the fuck are you doing? Did you really think this was gonna work? you know. The same with that. Like why did you go on me? Like obviously it wasn't gonna work. I could have told you that ages ago.
Yeah. Calling his bluff.
Yep. Which is kind of like,
Yeah.
but
What I've.
like yeah, essentially he's just trying to put you into situations where you'll hit 80% of the time instead of you just like sticking to your 100% punish rate, right?
Yeah, because you can't. You have to stand
Mm-hmm.
still for a small, like fraction of time that's
Yep.
guaranteed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right, and that's also why you see there, right? Like that's the moment where he thinks moving forward and risking getting hit, you know, it's not worth it anymore. So now he's playing just like the Jacks, right? Because he knows, well, if I'm moving up, I'm moving into an 80-20 situation. And even though that's better for me than a 100-0 situation, 80-20 I can't afford anymore, basically.
Hmm. I don't like calling in percentages because that's like very contingent on skill.
I guess. But it's completely arbitrary numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But when you say like numbers, it's no longer arbitrary. It is arbitrary though.
Well, the numbers that like
Like
the numbers picked are arbitrary.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
just like well,
you really
I guess
needed
I have
it.
to shove now.
Yep.
Yeah, imagine Graves having any self-control. Like anyone who plays that champion.
I would base here.
Uh, I thought about it, but I could see that I didn't want to give him these two waves for free.
Well, it's more even if you punish here.
It worked out here in this game, but like I could see that it didn't.
Yeah, like I would just say like if I'm Fizz here, I would just like I'd just be like, yep, use up all your mana and see what
But I have
happens.
biscuits. But I
Well,
have
yeah, but like
biscuits.
even then, right? Like use up all your mana, see what happens. If you miss one of your skill shots, or if I dodge one of your skill shots with E, and you stick in lane, all of a sudden you can't kill me anymore. It doesn't matter how much HP you have, you know. So I think that's like a mistake, but that's more of a knowledge mistake than a fundamentals mistake.
Just wanted to like yeah. I saw that was a good back opportunity, but I saw he was half health. Like if he was full health, 100% I'm backing there. But like half health,
Yeah.
and like I didn't want to let him get two waves for free. Is what I was going like
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
was
But like
going with
in
in
the
my head.
same way, right? For free in this context, if he just gets all of it but loses like 400 HP, he gets them for free anyways, right? The result isn't different, because both of you are looking to back anyways. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah. He wasn't ever in lethal. Ah, right, because you can use
Yeah.
E and stuff. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
So that's like, um, that like I understand how this comes into your mind of like, oh, I don't want him to get this for free, but in essence, it only matters if he gets it or not get or doesn't get it, right? The damage is only relevant because it makes it so that he doesn't get more, right?
Contingent if he's in lethal or not.
Yeah, but apart from that as well, like he knows you need to base. So even though he goes down to like 100 or 50 HP, he knows you can't stay in lane forever. You need to base as well, right?
I didn't actually like. I only need to base in terms of items, not HP or resources, because I had like the mana available in the form of
Well,
like
you had the
cookies.
mana available if you didn't poke him down, right? And also don't forget he has double buffs, which means he has the increased regen on both mana and health.
Health regen is only like not in combat with champions. So like
Yeah,
if
but that's
I'm
not
autoing
very.
him,
Yeah, yeah, but that's that's all contingent on you getting consistent autos and you getting consistent Qs off, right? It's like that's like one of those situations where if you can't put him in a health where he needs to give up CS, then he's basically getting all the CS for free, right? Obviously, he went all in on you for no reason at all, and yeah, yep. At that point, you're gonna die. It's very smart.
probably look at that one again on my own, because
Okay,
I'm really curious about that clip.
okay. Yeah, I think like the base in general is really strong for you as well because Viego is like a factor, right? Like I think in a 1v1 even, I think there's like argument to base there, and I think I personally would say it's always better to base there. But if you even like add jungler in there, then it's not even close which is better, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
this is
you're
also
right.
one of those cases where if Viego comes along, you have to press W to run away. You already can't kill him anymore, and then you need to base because otherwise, you're just gonna get really punished. Yep. This is like one of those cases where you just kind of need to dodge the ult, and if you didn't, then oops.
I kind of knew that he could never kill me though. Like I would
Yeah,
have needed Viego to come
yeah.
to kill me.
It's a very precise setup from them. You can like barely dodge that um ulti, but it's very unfortunately timed. Which again, like this is not something that's for like important for us improvement wise. But this like one of those cases where if you dodge that ultimate, you basically win the lane. Like it's no no context or nothing is about it. Fizz needs to like perma roam then and hope he gets kills off because if he doesn't, he's gonna be useless the entire game. It's like one of those things with just Fizz or Zed or most of those assassins where if they go on you level 6 and it doesn't work, they just basically lose. It's
That's
that
a
simple,
useful
unfortunately.
that's a useful thought to
Yeah.
keep in mind.
Which honestly is also why so many people, if they're facing Fizz, they would just go Verdant Barrier very early on because it's just like, yep, you can't like instead of even tier 2 boots, they would just go Verdant Barrier boots or Verdant Barrier Darksteel, and they're basically saying, "Yep, you can't like kill me at level 6 now. Try it. You'll see what." Oh, that's very late.
It was hmm. It's like the mental game here. I played like respectfully fearful or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Not sure.
I mean, you saw that right? Like earlier, that was a movement punish. We don't need to punish movement, right? That's a little bit too early. Nice auto attack. Don't like that cute. Like
That was a farming queue.
I know, I know. I just don't think you needed to use it.
That was like I think the both the minions were dying at the same time, where I
Yeah, I
couldn't
think
like
you had enough
auto them
time.
individually.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just yeah. I think that you had enough time, but like I understand that that's a pharmacy. But like this is literally, I mean, he missed his ult and now he just dies. And yep, great champ Fizz. So dumb. This is why Fizz is not like, unless he like gets like really insane numbers, is never gonna see play in pro, because if you just miss your ulti as Fizz, you just, bop, you lose the game, unfortunately. Yeah, I would stay here too. Hell yeah.
Uh there's like, how do I put it? Hmm.
Yeah, I would stay here too.
I wonder if like he could be a good jungler though, like at all. Cause like
Not
he's
right
like the
now.
same thing with Rumble, with like his ult gains so much value when it's from Frog of War. Like it's so much threat.
Yeah.
Like
But at the same time, like, that's also slightly based on bad reaction speed and people not knowing how to play against Fizz or how to build against Fizz. Where it's also one of those cases with, if you just got magic resistance on your like Rumble, like he's one of those champions where if the opponent's got magic resist and he doesn't snowball early on, he just loses the game and is entirely useless. So if you like draft him competitively, then you need to like, it's the problem with all the champions like it, right? Which like it's why I think Lee, for example, in pro play, or sorry, in solo queue is better than in pro play, because in solo queue you can get random ganks off over and over again and randomly get ahead, and it's like, yep, great job. Oh, I think you can kill Fizz here.
workout feels bad.
Oh, that sucks. Okay, but this is like, this lane is literally what I talked about earlier, right? Where Fizz is trying to create more variance into your gameplay, and here sometimes you're falling for it, but the important part is that you're not always falling for it, which is something you had a lot early on, where the opponent like, it would either be intentional or not intentional, and even with these people you can't really say if it's intentional or not. But it's like some of those things where if you're aware of it, then it's really easy to just look at it this way. So like Talon can do the same thing where he'll be trying, like, this is like Talon right here. He's shoving the wave, which is fundamentally speaking, it's super incorrect. However, he's basically trying to break the rules to to increase volatility, hoping, or like play in a way where he hopes you don't have the answer for it. That's all like melees need to play in an abusive manner. They need to hope that you don't have the correct answers, um, in order to be like really strong in general.
Just really forgiving champs in general.
Um, Forgiving. I mean, it's forgiving because most people aren't good. That's another
Yeah.
cue, right? Like,
But
he's moving in ways, but yeah.
there's also the fact that like their level, just the way their damage scales, like they're level dependent. They have higher base stats, higher resist, harder to kill. They have like a lot of movement abilities. They like get out of bad spots earlier. Like that's what I meant by, like, it's not contingent on precise play as much as like range mages are, which is why, like, you don't see as many melee champs, or at least I hope. I don't know how NA plays, but like how Elo NA plays, but like you don't. I hope you don't see as many uh like melee champs, because it's just like an uphill battle against someone who knows how to play range champs.
Yeah.
It's always an uphill
It's
battle.
melee has a lot of skill expression, but only if you're playing against like someone who is very good. If you're, again, same thing, right? Like, don't he's moving in ways to increase volatility, and you don't need to, handshake that. Like, that's the same thing. He's looking for a recall, because a recall here, even though it might lose him something, it increases volatility. And you moving forward like that and noticing that he, stopping that recall essentially makes it that, his volatility gets. And there, I would have liked here, right? Because you see Cannon getting low. I guess you can argue that, yeah, okay, never mind. I was gonna say like, yeah, I'd like it if you move forward, but you have like 3 CS to hit yourself, so it makes sense. But yeah, I think honestly, if you look at melees in the way we talked about, where it's like these are champions that are trying to create volatility over and over again, and the only thing we need to do is just play correctly and we beat them, then it becomes so much easier to just consistently beat them because the only thing you need to do is just play
Ah,
correctly. You,
that's why it's so much easier for me to play against ranged champions.
yes, as well.
Because it's like it's the lane itself is lower volatility. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
like,
you.
you saw me like embarrassed at Xerath like 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago, but it's
exactly,
like
exactly.
Xerath, you know,
I
you
mean,
have to
like,
play like perfectly in order to make it work.
well, it's like
Whereas
it's
like
also like ranged champions have the potential to do the things melee champions do. However, the players just don't play in that way, essentially.
it's like very it's all movement based though. Like
Yes,
that's
yeah, yeah,
not specific
absolutely,
to the
absolutely.
champion. Like that's why like I think Zet like Singed like is really strong because like he like his entire scale like his entire kit scales with move speed. Like you do damage with move speed, or like how do I put it? You don't even need to like stay to like stand one place to kill minions.
Hmm.
So it's just like you can run around everywhere.
Yeah,
Like you
I think
can
Singe is definitely a champion that skills up with player skill, but at the same time, I think the items kind of just really suck for him right now.
Rocket isn't Rocket Bell good on him? Like it gives him
No,
everything he wants.
no, it's not.
Why not?
Doesn't. I mean, it's very awkward because it doesn't necessarily make him tanky enough. It doesn't necessarily make his poison actually deal more damage because essentially like one of those weird champions that doesn't actually gain too much with like he doesn't gain more with like magic penetration. He kind of just needs more time in combat. If that makes sense. But he can't just go non AP mythics because then he just deals no damage. It's a super awkward puzzle to solve.
Okay.
I think he's like one of those champions that possibly should just go mythic skip into, you know, something like Rylai's possibly embrace, but I think that item's real bad.
Need 10, but he scales so well with it. Probably like I would imagine he does because like he has a really high AP ratio on Q. That's like one of the worst things I hated with the like when they originally introduced the rune system where he's like forced to take HP, but he doesn't want HP. Like he wants to start with as much AP as possible. Because like the difference
And it's
between
like,
like 5 AP and 30 AP level 1 is like huge. Like how fast he kills the minions.
yeah, that's fair.
But this is just, you know, irrelevant theory craft, so.
Yeah, yeah, that's a kill. Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
I'm seeing it, I'm
yeah,
seeing that now like in ways in the way I didn't before, where it's
yeah.
like
You can see he's like, yep, he's just trying to bait you into messing up, and that, like that right there, this is literally a skill check from him. That going for that cannon is literally a skill check. He's checking. Yeah, I mean, and that like, I mean, I guess you could argue that it's based on mana, but let's ignore mana for a second. But him going for a CS like that is literally, yo, can you Q me if I do this? Because if you can't, I'm gonna do it again. Well, like if I play, like you might have seen this in my 1v1s against Irodera, where I'm playing Zed, for example, and I can't play Zed, but I'm playing Zed and I'm walking up and I'm looking if I can get a CS. But because if I can get away with getting random CS normally, then I'm just gonna go perfect CS. You know, it's the same like Daniel Me when he was playing Arbelia often talks about it in a sense of like, which is all part of stage five. Um, in a way, right, that was essentially around yeah, if they can't punish you, like if they can't stage two, then literally just what's it called, just perfect CS, it's over. Oh, yes. Okay, you should live. He shouldn't. I think that's like slightly
Usual.
misplayed, but it's whatever.
Huh. Something I saw like at that time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like when you right before you stopped it was that I thought I think it's I don't do it in the game, but it was probably better. No, it's not. Go wand and then sell the ring for tome, but it's not worth it because it's
No.
like yeah. I think I went chapter there instead of tome, like
Yeah,
wand, which
that's
was
good.
better, I think.
No, I think I like chapter a lot.
I don't think you need the mana on this champion. Like
I think
it's like
it's
all
like
Q damage. Like
yeah. I think it's more like
uh
it's such a volatile game where actually being around, like being able to be around longer is relevant, which normally isn't.
uh what you mean like for pushing waves?
Hmm. I mean, for being around fights that are randomly going to happen because you're playing against Talon, who's just perma roaming and perma start trying to
I
start
see.
fights. You know, it's one of those things where just because the opponent you're playing against is basically cheesing constantly. It's like one of those cases, right? Like where he kind of vaguely shoves you in. This is like part of it, but like you need to use mana to shove, and right now he's just roaming blindly. So you should shove here again, and then after that he's gonna show up somewhere, and at that point you should either base or go there. Right? And in this context, I think you should base. Yeah, but that's just like kind of one of those things, right? Where because he's perma roaming and everything, it's like one of those things as well where if your team just doesn't start a fight when he's roaming, then you just win the game. It's over. Haha. Have fun, Talon. But you know, Darius 1v1 and Mordekaiser. But yeah, it's essentially like the exact like this. What you're going through right now is the exact reason. And this would be a moment where Kat would tell you that if you just bought Tyr instead of Dark Seal, you would have had no issue right now.
It's
Because you'd
okay.
have
I have
like
my mana potion.
you'd have like 300 more mana right now, and with
What do you mean?
300 more mana right now,
I have 400 mana right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
but like with 300 more mana right now, you oh wait, oh, I know it's so dumb. And like actually like the most ironic part of it is that Fairy Charm is actually insane. Like I played it on Zillion because I thought that tier was necessary on that champion, and I just found out it's really not. You can just go Fairy Charm and it's always good. To the point where I just started going Fairy Charm as like early item in lanes where I knew I was gonna need to stay in lane long, and yeah, stuff like that. Or like even with the Shirelia's build for Zillion I used to go to in support, you just didn't get out of mana at all, even though you didn't have the tier huge mana because mana regen is broken. Honestly,
I think I only go it if I only go it if I back it with like 550 gold, because it's just like I have 250 with nothing to spend. Let's get more
yeah,
mana
yeah, yeah.
regen. Whereas
No,
like
that's fine.
any other time, if I have like 350, I want more AP or something.
Um, by the way, this 1v1 was littered with fucking RNG trades, man.
The 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 second one I think was way cleaner. Like I beat him much cleaner, but
hmm
for some reason you felt the need to alt tab during the 1v1 to check Discord. And he's like, dude, I don't want you showing my Discord to people. I'm like, okay, I have to edit that out. And then I was too lazy to edit that out, so
What do you mean with his Discord? What?
The second 1v1, someone joined in the middle. You see him like all like randomly just standing back in the lane, and
Yeah.
apparently he was checking Discord momentarily for some reason, and then
Oh,
it gets shown during the VOD review after when he does it, and he's like, "Hey, can you like edit that out, please? I don't want people seeing my channels or my servers." And I'm like, "Okay, man." Like I said it respectfully, but and like I'll
yeah.
just edit that out later, like respectfully. But then it's just like I don't edit videos, and it's just
Weird.
so annoying to learn how to do it because. And it's like in the context of him doing that, it's just like I'm not doing it. I forget about it. I could upload that second one if you want, but I don't know. I
I mean, I don't
and
mind.
like
I mean, you could
like make it
you can
unlisted.
well, I'm not sure how long it is, but there's this like minor trick. Like the only way I know, so and I'm terrible at this, right? Because I have no editing software. The only way I know how to like quote unquote edit is in a VLC media player. You can click on record, and then when you're finished, you can click on stop recording, and it'll create like a new thing, and you can upload that. However, it only like it basically you need to watch through the entire thing. Which is fine when you're trying to create like a 10-second clip, but if it's like a 10-minute thing, then it's not great.
That was really weird. It says for you that it's like May 13th, but for me it says like May 12th because like I remember yesterday I played only one game and it wasn't that.
It might be just, upload time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Like that's what like confused me. It's like
What
I
the?
only uploaded one yesterday.
What?
Yeah. I know I'd win the moment like she got in range of the minion, so
Yeah, I would use like potion. I would just keep going there, honestly.
yeah, you're actually right. Why'd I stop? Oh well.
Yeah, this is like one of those cases where, like, if you look at your autos here, it's actually quite relevant to see that you're like the way you're clicking here is actually correct, right? Because a lot of people, when they do something, they automatically click back, and it's a super common habit. So it's important to notice that that habit isn't necessarily present there. I mean, like on the contrary, by the way, um, this is better for improvement. Okay, I don't like that cue.
What do you mean is better for improvement?
Well, this is better for improvement because you get longer lane.
I don't know what you're referring to by Lorongo Lane.
Longer lane in context of there's more time spent playing lane. Because
Ah,
if you
I
just get
see.
like almost a solo kill there, then you know Anivia plays very different, and there's less tests for you. So
Okay.
like this pattern of play does allow like it helps improve you more like technically compared to like getting a kill there.
That's such a unnatural thought process, though.
Yes.
Let's not kill her here so we improve more. Like what?
Yep, I know. This is the thought process between coaches. this
Okay.
this is like that's like the type of things we meme about as coaches. We're just like, yep, he honestly shouldn't even get this kill here. It's better for improvement. We're like, yeah, you're totally right. It's so fun. Such a meme. But yeah, moving towards a conclusion. Okay. Um, basically, I think your stage three or your clicks are at a very solid position to the point where you're consistently doing like reaching the correct speeds and doing clicks with very, very solid intent. So and it very much seems to be a point where you're just clicking like this naturally almost, which is essentially why I want you to start focusing on stage four, which like we talked about is essentially just like getting the minimap down. Do you remember when we talked about it previously or
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah, every 5 seconds. For me, I look at the mini map, but only when I'm not in lane. So like that would
Okay.
need to change with this and
Yes,
like
absolutely.
tracking the junglers.
Yeah, so you can do one of two things. You can either do the every 5 second thing, or you can do every time you go for a CS or go for a trade.
So, huh.
So like I remember docs for a while as well. I remember another student of mine did it as well. Um, he instead of doing every 5 second with a notification thing, that was super distracting for them.
It
So
is for me too.
so what they decided to do is basically every time they go for a CS, they look minimap, and they extended that to every time they go for a trade, they look minimap,
Okay, I can do that.
which is a very valid way of doing it as well. Essentially, just need to keep your eyes like you just need to train your eyes to be able to constantly glue to the minimap and get the information from that.
I think now that's like a really good way to integrate the habit,
Yeah,
I think, because you're standing still for a tiny amount of time anyway where you
exactly,
really
exactly,
can't do anything, so might as well like glance at the minimap for information.
absolutely. And so I want you to start with that. However, I want you to start with that when you're finished with, or like when you essentially feel very comfortable. I don't think that necessarily needs to be it long, but essentially you need to fix the thing you have where the like basically what we talked about, right? Where you get drawn into your opponent's volatility. We need to fix that first.
Okay.
So essentially, when you're to make sure you keep playing correct, right? And
You could
then
say, or you could even like phrase it so that like when the opponent tries to increase variance, make sure you like minimize variance.
yeah, okay, that's good as well. And so basically, which is like this also includes like minimize RNG trades, right? But in this context, we're kind of giving respect to our opponent and the fact that they can move in ways that incentivize to attempt RNG trades. Right? It's not net like it's partially on us, but it's also on the enemy for playing in a way that incentivizes or entices us to look for these RNG trades. It's also why
Okay.
versus melees can be more difficult and stuff like that. Then once we get this down, essentially minimap awareness slash information gathering. We're going to do this in multiple
So,
steps. We're going to start with look at minimap while getting CS. Then we're going to add look at minimap while punishing CS. Right. Yeah, you had a question?
uh, finish what you have to say and then I'll ask the question.
I mean,
Because like
I'm
you seem to
finished
be like
with this
making a list.
part. I'll like, there's like a tiny bit more, but
Uh, would you want me to? Cause like, you think going teleport when doing stage 4 is more instructive?
no, I don't think it matters. No.
Cause it's like I could, cause, hmm, is it? It's a separate skill probably.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't really think it's relevant.
Okay, for now. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Another thing, right? Like you said, even though it's a bit of a weird mind loop, but like teleport decreases the amount of time spent in an even situation. So it lessens the amount of time that you're spending practicing fundamentals.
Could you repeat that? I'm not sure what you were referring to specifically with what I said.
So if okay, I mean, I'm not referring to something you said. I'm referring to the fact that if you run teleport, the only real way to use it is to either look for other lanes on roaming. We're not really considering that. We're not really looking at that, or by essentially gaining an advantage in mid lane by using a teleport to like basically gain tempo or gain wave control, right? And anytime you use it in the second way, that's time you spent like that's less time you spent in an even lane state. And less time spent in an even lane state equals less time where your opponents get what's it called? Trades off and stuff like that. Or where your opponent like actually
Interaction,
yeah.
less interaction.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, or like, did you maybe mean run teleport because we're looking at minimaps so we can look for teleport plays more often?
Yeah, that's what I was referring
Oh,
to.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, in that context, that's like a completely separate skill, and that's not necessarily something we need to practice right now.
Got it.
Because a lot of the times teleports like that are very contingent on so many factors, and it's one of those things that's very much focusing on increasing wins and not necessarily on increasing skill.
I
Yeah.
like I honestly like I get the how do I put it? I know how to use. I get the feeling I know how to use teleport. Generally speaking, like how like what is a good teleport versus what is a bad teleport. But
Hmm.
that's like uh increasing like the thought processes when that's
Yes.
not something that should happen. Yeah.
It's
Like
a very knowledge based thing. It's not necessarily a
yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
It's like it's like you said, right? Like when you teleport and it works out, afterwards you'd say, "Oh, I got lucky," if you're honest, right? Because when you look at the situation, you need to make a snap decision, and it's pure intuition. Right? So in the in it, like if you're actually being honest, like Bobby was, then um, you'd say, "Oh, I got lucky." I just thought that it looked good, so I went for it. And that's not really a skill you can train. It's more something you can just know more about, and through kind of attempting scientific experimentation with it, gaining more information. But League is a very inefficient game for scientific experimentation, so it's not something to
Yeah.
focus on.
Okay.
Yeah. But something else to focus on though, and this is basically so we can do this like um, one, two, and then this essentially three, or like this obviously like before anything. We'll just do like this like stage four, and then this focus first,
Sure.
right? And then so in stage four, this is one, two, and then three is try to find out, or like at any moment in the game know on what side the enemy jungler is and play accordingly. Right? If you know enemy jungler's bot side, don't sit here. If you know enemy jungler's top side, don't sit here unless it makes a lot of sense for your punishing. Right? This is also one of those things where in reviews, if you're really aware of this, then you also remember, right? Where you're like, oh, but enemy jungler was top side here, so this play actually made sense. Or there are some plays you can go for that only make sense if you know that the opponent's jungler is in a specific side of the map, right? Like for example, let's say for some reason we go for an all-in here. We can only go for an all-in here if we know that the enemy jungler is on the bottom side of the map. Because if he's on the top side of the map, then he can just come punish us super easily.
Got it.
So this is essentially the third part of stage four. And it's honestly one of the like it's the smallest stage in general. It's one of those things where you kind of need to get it down, and once you got it down, that's it. But yeah. Do you have any questions about this or?
Any questions I have were already asked.
Okay, good. Then I'll just share this real quick. Um, Save it like this, and then